Um, Making another video um, about another topic that has been turning in my brain lately, and that is the truth and picking sides. Something I found in my life is that I'm overly passive a lot of the times. I'm really bad at advocating for myself and in a lot of cases advocating for others when I probably should. I found myself in arguments or conflicts before with friends because I wasn't able to pick their side during a dispute with other people or during drama and stuff like that. And it's and I've always been an indecisive person in general. Um Especially when it comes to politics, I'm always, you know, like I consider myself way more on like the left, but I struggle a lot with claiming that I'm a liberal or that I'm Democrat because as soon as I do that, it sets a binary between me and the other people. And that's what I kind of wanted to get into is that, like, I wanted to get into the idea of what is the truth and, like, what does it mean to sort of choose a side in life or to make a decision? To me, making a decision feels like killing something. Because once you make a choice or once you decide a path in life, you're shutting off all these other possibilities. Something I think of with this is Schrodinger's cat, right? It's the cat that's in a box and it's simultaneously dead and alive. But once you look into the box, one of those realities becomes true. It's either alive or it's dead. And for me, that story is interesting because if you never look in the box in the first place, then the cat, you'll never know if it's dead or alive, but at the same time, you're saving it from dying in a way. Because it's all it is it's basically a ball of potential, you know? And and there's an infinite amount of possibilities within that box. But once you look in there, you know, something gets decided. And then on the one hand it could be good because then the cat could be alive and that's beautiful. But it could also die. You look in the box and the cat is dead. It's like, oh shit, it's dead now. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that's scary. And then I apply that to life paths and picking like these political sides and stuff. It's like once you choose a side, you're eliminating something else. You're killing something. And that's probably the hardest part of growing up in my opinion. It's watching paths close, but you have to because if you don't, then you're going to end up nowhere. And that's what kind of sucks about growing up. And some people, and I'm fortunate to even say that because some people don't get the options, in life. Some people don't get options. They get forced and pinholed into a life path, without, being able to have any autonomy because of financial struggles or they had shitty parents or I'm very privileged to even be able to have options in my life. And I'm seeing the door to those opportunities close before I can make a decision though. Because I have those options, I dwell so much over like what is this path going to look like compared to this one, and having sort of these realities like close off to me just feels depressing and it feels like killing something. And I have another friend who's like this, where he's a very talented guy, but in a lot of ways, I think he's afraid of being trapped in a path that won't end up being authentic or fulfilling in his life. He's very upset. He's like me, where he's very obsessed with meaning and living a meaningful life. And he's much more talented than me too, but he ends up just not really doing anything because I think he's afraid. He's afraid of these paths shutting down in favor of one because and yeah. But so that's one thing. Another thing I think about a lot though is the truth. A lot of people will try to tell you in your life what the truth is, or what the facts are. When in reality, you can't really know anything except for the fact that you're conscious. But like, we can't know anything because our senses could be illusionary, and oftentimes they're deceptive, or we're making decisions that are actually ruled by our emotions, and they're not actually as reasonable as we think they are. So you can't ever know anything for sure. And this is why Socrates is my favorite philosopher, by the way, because he knows that he doesn't know shit. And he calls out people that think they know shit. Like, one of Socrates' most criticized people were the people in Athens that were using rhetoric and all these fancy words to sway people by their emotions. But Socrates said that really the only smart people are the people that can admit that they're not smart, or that they don't know anything, because then they at least know something that people that claim they're smart don't know, and that's that they don't know. I know that sounded a bit confusing, but once you claim you know something, in a way you're putting a cap on your ability to grow and understand. Because once you know something, there's no need to know more about it, right? Like, you know it for a fact. What else do you need? And that's what becomes very difficult with reality, is because you have to make decisions fast, because you're on a time, you're not allocated the privilege to have infinite time to dwell over the meanings of life. You have to make decisions fast, because you're gonna fucking die. But at the same time, once you make a decision, it feels like you're limiting your growth in some way. And it's also dangerous. It's dangerous to believe things. It's dangerous to think you know something, because then you might start imposing that on other people's lives. And that happens all the time. That's what happens with religion. They claim they know the way life works, and then they infringe on other people's own views and beliefs, because they know the truth. And then you end up with things like the Crusades, or the witch trials, or I don't know. It's all just fucked up. But it always bothers me when people claim they know something, and what really bothers me is modern day politics and how divided they are. The left and the right are so polarized right now, and it bothers me because I don't see the truth, or even ethical truths, as being such a simple black and white thing. I think it's multifaceted. One of my favorite stories is it's about these blind men who are touching an elephant. They're all touching this elephant, right? But they're all touching different parts of the elephant. But they spend their whole lives squabbling to each other, about which part of the elephant is the elephant. Like one guy's touching the tusk, right? And the other guy's touching the ass. And the guy touching the ass, he's like, the elephant's the ass, guys. But the guy touching the trunk or the tusk, they're like, what are you talking about? It's a tusk, bro. And then they argue and they kill each other over it. But the reality is that the elephant is the sum of these parts. And that's not even the entirety of it, because they're all blind. And they're not all touching the different parts of it. I think to understand what the elephant actually is, you need to communicate with the others. You have to communicate that, hey, this is a part of the truth. This is a part of the elephant, this tusk. What are you seeing right now? And that's what we've lost, because debates these days is about winning and moral superiority. It's not about getting a good understanding of the truth. And that's something I wish I saw with modern day politics, but all of it is just it's basically just manipulating people's emotions. Trump is heralded by the far right as being the guy who's going to fix America. And, so many people are convinced that he believes the things that he tells the right. But he doesn't. I mean, there's an interview where, Trump, he wants to bring Bibles back to the schools. But there's literally an interview where he's asked what his favorite Bible verse is, and he says, I'm not going to get into that. It's personal right now. But like, it's just so clear to me that and this goes for the left too, honestly. But politics and politicians, they're playing into people's emotions, and they're trying to act more radical so they can reach those audiences, but they don't necessarily always believe anything that they're personally saying. They're trying to play to a side in an agenda. That's why I think we need like a gadfly. I feel like we need somebody to call these guys out and like question them to death, to dismantle everything that they're saying, and to sort of act as the person to sort of dismantle all of our beliefs and make us realize that we don't actually know anything. Because I see this is why I get so confused when people tell me like what do you believe in, or yeah, what do you believe in? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, because there's no way to touch the whole elephant. Like, it's just not possible. I think the truth in reality is probably the sum of everybody's perspective. I think it's some kind of I don't want to say relativity, because that's not necessarily right either, but it's more like it's not like the truth is relative to whoever says it is. It's more like it requires some kind of totality, but that's really difficult. It's really difficult to live like that. And that's why I feel like, in a way, we all have to lie to ourselves in order to live a good life. Because, like, there's no way to live without believing in anything, but at the same time, believing in anything is kind of bullshit. And that's what's confusing. Again, I think of the Mahabharata. Arjuna, he's on the battlefield and he's looking at the other side, and he's having conflict choosing a side, because he's like, hold on, like, the other people, they're people like me, they have their own perspective or whatever. But then Krishna, he tells Arjuna that, like, to just sort of trust whatever his dharma is, or whatever his purpose is, or whatever his side is, and to not concern himself so much with trying to, I don't know, though, because again, that bothers me. It bothers me to pick a side, because a part of me feels like the only way, that just perpetuates like a cycle of violence too. I feel like the only way to sort of liberate ourselves from this is to take a full, like, an approach that incorporates every single part of the truth. I don't know. Sorry, I got a little lost there. Like, a story I think of, and this is a story I think about a lot, is The Egg by Andy Weir. And in that story, it's about reincarnation, except you can get reincarnated into the past. And what happens is that we keep reincarnating until we live as literally every single human being that will ever exist. In this case, it's really hard to look down on anybody or to pick a side for anything, because the reality is that every single perspective in this story matters, because you're going to live through it. You're going to live as everybody eventually. And that's all the people you kill and all the people you love too. And from that perspective, I think the only choice you can make in life is probably the golden rule of just treating everybody how you would want to be treated. Um, but at the same time, it's difficult because you can't satisfy everybody. You can't satisfy every single side. And this is what's been so difficult for me, because I have friends that expect me to choose sides, or I'm expected to believe things, and it's hard for me because I see the truth as being so much more complicated than that and so much more all-encompassing. Yeah, sorry, I got into tangents again this time. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I'm going crazy. Goodbye.